and it's all white. And we did some conversations in the community, and the league isn't trusted. It's like, oh, okay. So that was for me, having been in the organization for less than a year when I received that message, it was like, ding, 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 you know, major wake-up call. And so at that point, in my leadership role, I said, this isn't going to stand. This is intolerable. This is not what this organization's about. And so through that curriculum project, we were very deliberate in creating those relationships with those 13 organizations. And I can tell you, some of those early meetings we had, they were brutal. I mean, people said things to us that I won't repeat in this room, but it was brutal. But it was truthful, you know, and it's like, okay, we have to face what our history has been. And I think because we were genuinely wanting to make change, that those relationships started to take root. And I'll tell you, some of the organizations walked away from us. They did not trust that we could work through this project. So, but 13 of them stayed. And I think the product is a really good product, and it's reflective of those communities. And while we had the grant essentially to create the platform, without those communities' contributions, it wouldn't have been a good product. And so I use that as a foundational piece going forward, that we've started these conversations and have these relationships. And so my community organizer, we have an equity inclusion task force that we just started this summer, and we're going to continue building on those relationships. So how can we best partner with those groups? The league has always done candidate forums without partnering with other organizations, and it's like, why? You know, why shouldn't other organizations have a part in that? They represent a certain point of view. They have questions that they want their prospective legislators to answer. We should all be working together. So, so this year, during this cycle, some of our leagues have been working with community organizations to invite them into the candidate forum process. But all of this takes time, a lot of energy, a lot of intention, and once you start this work, you've got to continue it. It's not a box that you check off. And you know, that's going to be the challenge for an organization like ours that is used to running a certain way. And it's like, that doesn't work anymore. The world really has changed. And the Twin Cities, the state of Minnesota, I mean, I've been here 20 years, and it's vastly different than when I first moved here, and in a good way. And I think we're finally starting to have these very difficult conversations and acknowledging the sins of the past, basically, the amount of systemic racism that is built into our culture. And and it's not to lay judgment on people. It's just, we come with our own baggage, we come with our own history. But it's a matter of, like shedding the skin off the layers of the onion and getting down and being able to do the hard work that it takes. Because it's, you haven't walked in those person's shoes, right? So that's where the empathy comes in. It's like you have to listen and really understand what their point of view is. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it necessarily, but somehow we all have to learn to live with one another. And that's a great concern of mine as we go through this election process. It's like, how the heck are we going to come together after this, no matter what the outcome is? I don't see, it's going to take a lot of leaders in communities from the local all the way to the national level to say this can't stand. The spewing has got to stop. We are not going to be moving forward as a nation if we do not address these concerns that are very real. I mean, this this isn't just stuff that's made up, this is real stuff, and it's hard work. So it's about having conversations, and honestly, one-on-one conversations, you start there. I mean, it's baby step by baby step by baby step. And asking questions and listening, you know, it's, as I said earlier, we often get consumed with, you know, my point of view is right, you know, so I'm gonna hold on to that. And I'm not gonna listen to anything else. And so we have to train ourselves, we really train ourselves to be open to that. And so for the work that I see the league doing is about the how, you know, how do we do this? Intellectually, they all know, I mean, but how do you do it? The how is really hard.
That's actually something that our own advocacy committee is struggling with, and I wanted to ask, how do you inspire action in your membership? That's something that we are sort of talking about and trying to figure out, you know, what is enough, what is too much to ask of our membership,
Yeah.
and how do we make this easy and convenient for them to take part in?
So I would suggest that some ways in which you can make it easy is that if you have a piece of legislation or there's something that a point of view that you're advocating that you want to get to your legislature or city council or whatever, write a templated letter, send it out to your membership. They can tweak it, they can make it personalized, but give them a template. And that way, you know, I don't know what kind of mechanisms you have. We actually have on our data-based system, I have an action alert tool, so I can email out to the entire membership a templated letter, and then they just click on a few things, and boom, it goes directly to their elected official. But templated stuff, you know, things where people don't necessarily have to do much, you know, but they're in favor, you know that that they will back you up, you know, on your issue. So templates are great.
Has your experience been with elected officials, are they open to getting like typewritten letters, or is handwritten preferred? I've heard mixed opinions on that.
Well, you know, it's, some of the lawmakers have actually put blocks on a system like ours, which is really annoying. Phone calls and letters, it doesn't matter, emails are fine. Depending on the issue, it depends on if they get a lot of physical mail, that makes a difference. But they just want to hear, you know, overall, constituents do not communicate with their legislators. So any kind of communication, they really value and they take very seriously. Because they figure if they get one letter, that represents the viewpoint of at least, you know, a percentage of their constituents. So the more that you can create some synergy with your membership around an issue, the better off, you know, because then it's going to say, oh, we got to pay attention to this. You can't just, you know, toss it to the side. So, and then also working with other groups, right? To be in coalition with other groups. So, and I would invite you to consider, you know, partnering with the league on certain things where there's commonality. You know, I think the more voices that are heard, the more they're going to be listened to.
In what other ways do you ask your membership to get involved?
Well, so letter writing, we have citizen lobbyists. You can all be citizen lobbyists. I mean, it just means showing up, right, and having a conversation. That's all it really means. I mean, I have to keep track of the hours I spend as the certified lobbyist for the organization, but my volunteers, you know, they just show up and have those conversations. You know, we put issue programming together as well within our community. So